Namaste. Greetings guys. Hey, thanks for joining me for this vlog or video. This is a sort of short video regards the recent terrorist shootings that occurred on the 15th of March in Christchurch, New Zealand. And for most of you who follow my channel, you know, of course, I am a New Zealander. So yeah, I guess we should start there. I was myself born in Christchurch City, so I am in fact a what we call Cantabrian, but born and bred in Christchurch. I was born in a small maternity hospital called the Essex Hospital, and apparently back in the day it was for the impoverished people, prostitutes and teenage mothers and children up for adoption, and people from just out of jail. So that does beggar to understand quite how I started my journey of life there, but come what may, I did. So that particular hospital was very close to the Linwood Ave Mosque, and as a youngster I lived not far from the same mosque. I attended a school that was almost opposite that particular mosque, and then as I proceeded on in life and carried on into my working career, I actually worked at the Christchurch Hospital, which is where so many injured people were taken. I worked in the laboratory there in haematology, so if I had have still been working there, I would have been probably one of the health workers that was under duress on the day and had so much to deal with and cope with, of which they did remarkably well. But the hospital was just across from the Dean's Ave Mosque as well. So I seem to have had almost a historical direct line of connection to these events by the nature of walking the same steps that those who had suffered their loss of life on Friday the 15th of March 2019. My steps, though, date back in time. I now reside in Auckland, but wherever I live within our small set of islands, I am ever so much in love with New Zealand, and probably one of our staunchest and proudest citizens. We are one of the first nations to see each new day in, and one of the first nations to experience the beginning of each new year, such as the place that we are on the timeline of Earth's days, weeks and months. We sit in the southern Pacific Ocean, along with Australia as our closest neighbour, and we have some islands to the north of us, such as Fiji, Rarotonga, Noumea, and a few others. Our largest neighbour to the south of us is actually Antarctica, and that's where we get a lot of our predominant weather systems from. We're a small, albeit proud, nation of around 4.5 million people. Due to the isolation of our shores, we have become a somewhat can-do nation of people, fending for ourselves and using Kiwi ingenuity to bring new ideas and concepts to life. We're quite often forerunners of scientific ideas, farming adventures, business propositions and things like that. You kind of have to be when you're stuck so far out in the middle of nowhere on this one planet that we all call home. We have a rich spiritual culture and energy that lies deep within our land. The indigenous people of New Zealand are the Maori. White people, per se, have only lived here for just over 200 years. So in real terms, we are a very young nation. Whilst I consider myself a devout New Zealander, I am only a second generation New Zealander. So in reality, I am an immigrant. And this brings to mind one area of tenderness regards the terrorist or hate attacks on the ethnic minority who were mainly immigrants who were targeted on Friday. You see, in reality, we're all immigrants. Very few of us anywhere on the planet could contest to holding 10 generations or more of ethnic origins to one country or piece of land. This is Christchurch down here in the South Island, and where I currently live is Auckland up here, but that's where I was born, in Christchurch. The other dynamic worth looking into from these terrible events that shattered the lives of so many families and took over 50 souls from their own life is the way in which this has escalated to a global event of mass compassion. I think for New Zealanders, the shock and disbelief that our paradise of peace, harmony, tolerance and acceptance, to the best that we can do, and freedom to be who we want to be without restrictions, that has suddenly been fractured and torn apart, been ripped from our hands through the deeds of one person who decided that hatred was more important than all that we stand for as a nation, has been the thing that has shocked us to the core, as well as siding with the victims of the event. As we individually come to grips with the deep rift that had been torn across the fabric of our societal beliefs, not itself unlike the powerful earthquakes that rocked Christchurch and shook it to its physical foundations. Since 2011, Christchurch has experienced very severe earthquakes, and so has an area just north of Christchurch called Kaikoura. So our land is moving, and the people that live on it consequently are moving as well. We are living on a very tumultuous set of islands that are being shaped by Gaia and her designation of what she decides to do with our land, not what we decide to do. We are merely tenants on this beautiful planet Earth of ours. But going back to as the fact that Christchurch had been shook to its physical foundations through the earthquakes, with this event that's recently occurred, our raw emotions and grief for the innocent victims began to flow outward across the lands and oceans that divide us geographically, until that grief and pain landed on your foreign shores, whereby began the powerful connection of the bond of love that we're now feeling globally across the planet. Now, our anthem, which was written by an Irish-born immigrant, Thomas Bracken of Dunedin in 1870, has the following words within it. God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God defend our free land. Guard Pacific's triple star from the shafts of strife and war. Make her praises heard afar. God defend New Zealand. Men of every creed and race gather here before thy face, asking thee to bless this place. God defend our free land. From dissension, envy, hate, and corruption guard our state. Make our country good and great. God defend New Zealand. Peace, not war, shall be our boast, but shall foes assail our coast. Make us then a mighty host. God defend our free land. Lord of battles, in thy might, put our enemies to flight. Let our cause be just and right. God defend New Zealand. Let our love for thee increase. May thy blessings never cease. Give us plenty, give us peace. God, defend our free land. From dishonour and from shame, guard our country's spotless name. Crown her with immortal fame. God, defend New Zealand. May our mountains ever be freedom's ramparts on the sea. Make us faithful unto thee. God, defend our free land. Guide her in the nation's van, preaching love and truth to man, working out thy glorious plan. God, defend New Zealand. So as you can see from those poignant, powerful, powerful words of our anthem that was written in 1870 by an Irish immigrant, you can feel our pride and strength and connection and determination and love that's behind the soul of probably every New Zealander. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, I'm speaking from my own heart. But that's how we feel about our country. That's the strength that holds us together. That's the glue of our society. That's who we are. And our anthem epitomizes that. So sometimes from a deed so low in vibration and so vile in hatred can be born a power that travels our souls, all of us, that unites us as one, that breaks down boundaries, that steeps the way forward again to a new dawn, a new beginning with new awareness, new understanding, less judgment and more tolerance. And although it's hard to see any positives from the events, from the Christchurch terrorist attacks that took place, slowly, day by day, and by going more globally connected in the bonds of love and compassion, we grow understanding and tolerance and support, and we become less full of angst and hatred and separation and judgment. We are, after all, one people. The only thing that seems to define us is our own imagination, our own beliefs, which can in turn cause the segregations that happen. But when we come from the heart and we act from the heart and we give from the heart, then beliefs or colour, race, your sexual identity, it matters not. And that's part and parcel of what is now happening to this terrorist event. It is evolving into something of a much more positive, grander, higher vibrational event. I offer my blessings of love and light to everyone that has been affected by this act of terror, and offer my deepest condolences to every person and family affected by the atrocities. And I wish to thank you all personally, for those of you who have contacted me, and for those of you who have put blessings forward for all the people of New Zealand and for the people affected directly by the attacks. All positivity, all thoughts of love, all acts of generosity go back to the self. We are connected by the vibrational essence of life. We are all one. So thank you all, and may we see less and less acts of hatred and anger and judgment, and may we see more and more acts of love and connection and compassion. Much love. Namaste.